Thank you, Chala. Folks, when I was driving down this morning through a familiar route, my memory went back to the year when I had the privilege and honor of serving as governor of Rotary. A small little building in West Mambalam, which is a route that is very familiar to all who take from T Nagar to Chennai Trade Center, is a small, almost indistinguishable building then as it is now. It is known as the BSN Murthy School for the Special Children. Now, this was very special during my year when I was collecting money for the Rotary Foundation on the basis of the fact that 100 rupees to the foundation would immunize 25 children from this dreaded disease. A small, intellectually challenged child walked up to me and said, "Sir, I made 1,200 rupees by selling candles last month. I'm giving you 200 rupees to the Rotary Foundation so that on my behalf, you can immunize 50 children around the world." To me, that was an indelible moment, which kind of said, to me, that was the first act of CSR I've ever witnessed. But then, as a governor of Rotary, I also found there were so many such small instances that aggregated to make a large fund to help the children of the world, to help the people of the world, and that is possibly why Rotary is still unarguably amongst the greatest contributor to the welfare of the world. Not one, but 5 vaccine-preventable diseases have been eradicated from the surface of the earth, making this the pride of social service in the world. It is therefore with absolute privilege and pleasure that I reach to each one of them here, an industry leader in his own way, and said that you have to be here on a Saturday morning, giving up on golf, giving up on the 12:30 beer, but to share some of their thoughts and work out partnerships with an NGO for a lifelong difference that can make to the citizens of the world. When I was chair of an important committee in FICCI, which, as Challam said, unarguably is one of the most powerful industry voices. Kamal here will disagree because he is vice chair of CII. Well, both of us at times work with each other also. So I found that there is great acceptance amongst Rotarians, amongst industry leaders to work with an NGO, but I've always felt after that meeting a bridge between NGOs and industry is ephemeral. It simply doesn't exist. And in fact, this will be music to the ears of Governor Nandakumar. As I always told in that meeting, and I'm saying it again, CSR is a license to do business in the world. When you start an industry, you take about 14 to 15 licenses. But from the community standpoint, the most important license to me is commitment to CSR. It is therefore with this pride that I must tell you, Governor Nandakumar and his team, that we have today a leader from a $75 billion global industry, Volvo, Kamal Bali, and almost instantly Kamal said, I, as a group in India, desire to work with Rotary. And I think that can, working with Volvo, which, as my good friend Pradeep said, is the safest car in the world, can be the safest route in terms of partnership to showcase to the world that Rotary and industry can work together. Kamal is, as I said, managing director of Volvo Asia. They make cars, they make construction equipment, they make multiple things. More importantly, Kamal's company has touched the hearts of children of the world, community that they serve across the globe. Kamal is vice chairman of CII, and he is possibly the first knighthood person I have smelled. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sir Kamal Bali. Seated to my left is Pradeep Kumar, now Chairman Karnataka Bank, previously Managing Director of State Bank of India, and he has supervised the top 100 balance sheets in India, including some very famous names that you may read today. And Pradeep, apart from serving as Chairman Karnataka Bank, was still recently member of the Banking Bureau Board. He had the privilege of selecting almost all MDs and CEOs of nationalized banks. Pradeep is on the board of multiple companies. He's a friend of mine. He's been on our board, and he is also on the board of Brigade, Shriram Transport, TVS Capital, just to name a few. Murali is a Harvard alumnus, a friend and a brother. I'm also on the part of one of their group companies. Murali is managing director of Shriram Properties. They have a geospread of villas to high-rise buildings across the country. More importantly, Murali has a heart that cares for the people of the world. Please welcome Murali. No panel discussion on industry and CSR is complete without a nodal agency. That is why, to give an industry spectrum and also to ensure that you get 2 tips at the end of this meeting in terms of which stock to pick on Monday and become rich by Friday to buy up the Chennai Trade Center, I have Mr. Nagappan, President of the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. He serves on several boards, and more importantly, he is a man who understands industry's commitment to serve humanity. Folks, with that brief introduction, we are more keen to know from you in course of time what we can do for you. But for you to ask us the right support, I'm asking each one of our panelists to briefly address their commitment to CSR and showcase what they have done so that we, as an organization that is spread across 190 geographies and with a global membership of 130,000 people, can work with them to make a change in the world. COVID has changed many lives. It has changed yours, it has changed mine, it has changed the industry's voice and commitment to CSR. You won't get a better opportunity to work with industry leaders than in the next 40 minutes. Kamal, the mic is yours.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Ganpa, for that very generous introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you all, such a distinguished audience and some phenomenally distinguished co-panelists here. Pleasure to be here. Now, I think this topic is very close to my heart and also very close to Volvo as a group. And if you look at corporate social responsibility, over the years it has evolved. And I think I have to thank COVID in a big way. It has humbled the humankind. It has humbled all of us to realize we all have had to step back and say, what is success in isolation? If rest of the world is not doing good, you cannot enjoy anything. You cannot enjoy the richness or the successes of your life. So it's very important to coexist. Therefore, CSR, to my mind, is a phenomenal concept to really bring about inclusiveness and empowerment in the society. Make this planet a better place and also meet some sustainable development goals which are so important. And ladies and gentlemen, industry is not like some corporate entity all the time. Industry is also like a citizen. We all in the industry, we are the citizens of the communities where we work together. And we draw so many resources out of this planet and also from the talent which is available in the communities. So it is absolutely right to give back to the planet, to give back to the society where we reside. And I think that is the least we all need to do. So therefore, I'm very, very enthused to be here. And I wanted to share with you some of the stuff which we at Volvo are doing today. For instance, we started this COVID care center when people were not getting hospital beds. We ran a COVID care center with the help of best doctors. For 90 days we saved about 200 lives. I hope we did. I'm so grateful. So that was one. Then we started a vaccination campaign on a mobile Volvo bus, which went village to village to encourage people to take that vaccination. We are working on a women menstrual program, menstrual equity for rural women in India, in Karnataka especially. We're starting with that. We can extend with your support to other parts. We are willing to look at that. I think that's something very, very important. So this is basically includes a machine which can produce the sanitary pads in a village, and women can run by themselves. And I think this is something very, very important. We are launching next month a very important mobile hospital, and this will have almost everything under the sun. It's in a 40-foot container. It has cancer assessment tools. It has all the equipment you can think of, including some minor surgeries which can be taken, and also pharmacy inside. So ladies and gentlemen, I think the list is endless. The challenge which we are facing is we can't do everything by ourselves. We have built some therefore partnership is going to be the key. Partnership in being able to do much more, to walk the talk, is very, very important. And therefore, I was talking to Ganpa, if we can have partnerships with institutions like Rotary, with a similar shared vision, with you having the capability to do, and then we can actually, with lower costs, since all of you won't charge much of the administrative fee, we can increase that CSR spend. And if government can be kind enough to really make the GST send-wettable on CSR, because today GST is taken as a cost. We can do 20% more. I mean, the industry last year has spent about 25,000 crores on CSR. If GST was send-wettable, this could have been 30,000 crores. Another 5,000 crores. We have made a request to the government, and likewise some of this amount in 25,000 crores must be the administrative expenses. I mean, how can we reduce all of these so that more and more can go to the people who really need that money? And therefore, Rotary can play a big role, and I'm looking forward to working with you all. I will keep it short right now. I have many other points to say, but I'll leave it there, Ganpa. Yeah.
Thank you, Kamal. And thanks for volunteering to work with Rotary International. Our leadership is there in the front row. They will take it forward for sure. Rotary just needs a break like this. We'll pile on you like nothing else till we get our work done. And I think we are doing that to serve humanity, and I'm sure you'll accept us. From $75 billion entity to a 50 trillion entity, former Managing Director of State Bank, present Chairman of Karnataka Bank. In fact, State Bank was the first off the block to do CSR. Long before this fashionable acronym was created, they were already there. To know more and how we can work with the banks, here's Pradeep.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank Ganpa for inviting me to this place. Nice to be back in Chennai, where I grew up. Although I wear many hats today, I want to do a disclosure before starting. I am also into NGO boards, in addition to being in corporate boards. So I know maybe I can talk from both sides of the picture. Of course, I worked for almost 4 decades in an organization which much before CSR came in 2014. I joined State Bank in 1976, and they were doing CSR at that time. The bank had taken a call, I think sometime in the mid-70s, that 1% of its profits will be given as donation as CSR. Of course, it was not known as CSR. CSR came only after the Act came in 2014. And incidentally, State Bank is not administered under the Companies Act, but still. State banks have done maybe thousands of projects in the last 40 or 50 years that has been doing CSR. But what I think has given me great pride is what we call the SBI Youth for India Fellowship, which youth are trained for a year to work on diverse projects in broad thematic program areas. which cover the entire gamut of rural development. Most people come on a sabbatical for this program. I think we have 500 plus alumni spread across the country. I hope these alumni will spark a great change in the social development of this country. I thought I'll give a perspective rather than saying what we have done in the various companies. I think more than 25,000 crores is now being spent on CSR, going by 15% growth. And I read some report that in the next 5 years, 32% of private giving will be through corporate CSR. But some of the facts which I read somewhere, CSR money is primarily going to some top 5-6 states, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. CSR money is not going to states with low SDG indices like the central, northern, eastern and northeastern part of India. Money is being spent closer to the corporate offices. I was reading a report by another NGO. I'm just giving an example. Software industry is spending some 3,000, 4,000 crores in CSR. 80% is spent in Bangalore. Because most of them are headquartered in Bangalore. So in and around Bangalore, 80% is spent. So money is not going where it is really required. That is, I think, the biggest challenge in CSR. Money has to go to Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Orissa, northeastern states, Madhya Pradesh.
Probably why you need an organization, Rotary, to reach the unreached.
I was just thinking why the corporates are not doing. Perhaps there are not enough NGOs with capabilities there. And these NGOs perhaps don't have a means to connect with the corporates who are sitting maybe in all the metropolitan cities, far away from where they're working. Somebody is working in Bastar or Orissa. I think we'll find it difficult to connect to somebody in Delhi or Bombay or even Bangalore. So money is not getting fueled there. And Center has recently announced these aspirational districts. Only 1.76% of CSR money is going to aspirational districts. So I think corporates will have to change focus. From being on the NGO where we receive, I want to give an NGO's perspective. Many corporates, especially small corporates, CSR is a tick box item. They just want to give for something else and finish the responsibility.
And in March?
In March maybe. I'm involved in NGO which is 63 years old, which works on long-term thing. It deals with disability people. The motto of the organization is to identify the disabled people at the youngest age and ensure they get a livelihood. That means we have worked with them for almost 15, 20 years we have to work with. And we get money for every year. What can we do? Of course, thankfully things have changed. Some of the foundations are willing to look at long-term funding, but their long-term is also only 5 years. Even if I have to educate a child from, let's say, at least up to the school leaving, which means 10 years. If I have to fund a child for 10 years, I don't have funding for 10 years. Every year, in March, April, I get worried whether I'll get the funds for the next year. So I think corporates will have to think how do they fund long-term projects. Many NGOs are small. There's a great need for capability building in the NGOs. Of course, it's a part of CSR as defined by Companies Act, but companies think they don't get any visibility for that. So there is very little money is available for capability building. The NGO which I am involved with, we have 250 employees. With these 250 employees, we are not able to give market-related salaries. That is also being questioned by many. When I give a project, line by line item, people are checking. And if my overhead cost is more than some 5% or 8%, they say, oh, no, we will not give. We'll give you only 5%. So where do I go?
In fact, Pradeep, I think I see Governor Nandakumar and one of our more distinguished past governors, Nazar, here. They'll probably tell you that the Rotary Foundation has the least amount of... can you chip in, Nazar? You are better with details, if you don't mind. As you come up, I'm going to invite Murali, a Harvard alumni, and the group, the Shriram group, which is a $10 billion group, has charity embedded in its heart. And Murali comes from that stock. And as we listen to Nazar, Murali take over from him. And this will address all our concerns on lowering administrative costs.
Thank you, Past Governor Ganapathy, for bringing this esteemed guest to us to know CSR spending as well as how this is spent by Rotary. Rotary Foundation is one of the largest foundations in the world. It acts globally and spends money locally. This is what our, and we have been not charging till last year any administrative fee, and from the current year, we are charging 3% of all the money we receive. And I can tell you this 3% is nothing because you get another 100% saving because it is spent by Rotarians' dedication, integrity, and with clarity we spend.
I think Nandu also, Governor wants to join. Governor, you are about to get a check from Volvo, so better contribute.
To drive it home.
And if you get your wife to speak in Kannada, Murali will also cut a check.
So the admin cost in Rotary is 5%. So that's what you get. And I think it's all our own professional expertise is put into play, whether it's chartered accountants or people like past district governor Ganapathy. They are all there as experts in this internally who are there. And so we don't look outside for our expertise. So that's the main advantage, and that's how administrative cost cuts down. We use our own offices. We try to get the lowest costs, which need to be in comparing invoices.
And the year I was governor, I didn't see any employee, only saw Rotarians in the office.
To give you a classic example, if you step out of this trade center, you'll see 2 buses parked outside. And when we decided to build these 2 mobile buses, one was a cardiac screening bus with 2 ECG and 2 echo machines, and one is a mammography bus. When we went to do the bodybuilding, we got 3 quotes. One quote was for 26 lakhs. The next quote was for 63 lakhs. The third quote was for 85 lakhs. We did it for 26 lakhs. Now Rotary Foundation only uses our invoice as the base invoice for any invoice in the country today. So this is how we make sure we get the lowest costs. To give you an example. So on your way out, if you have the time, please have a look at it.
I think you are excited, Kamal. And before you take it further, Murali, would you like to? Thank you so much. It's only the corporates who can get 2 governors at the same time on the stage for clarification. Thank you so much, Governor Nandakumar and
Good afternoon,
my
friends.
brother Nazar.
Good afternoon, friends. It's an honor to be with Rotarians. I was a past president in Bangalore, Rotary District 3190, long ago. And I must congratulate Rotary for their invaluable contribution to the community and society at large. Everyone knows about it, but there is a specific reason why I'm saying this. Kudos to the way Rotary has worked on eradicating polio. One of my colleagues, who is a polio-affected person, he is about 52 now. At least once in a week, he will shed tear that what Rotary has played a very important role in eradicating polio. He says, more probably I used to pray, I must be the last one. Now he says that, okay, I was not the last one, but I know there is no more polio can affect anybody in the world. That impact has been done by Rotary. I was also looking at, since Ganapathy has invited me to speak here, so I was looking at Rotary Madras and their contribution and all that. Incidentally, I was looking at the first Rotarian is none other than Sir Mutaya Chettiar. He himself as an institution, I studied from Nagappan College, Karaikudi. So, education was done as a service by that family for generations. Again, I was also looking at how many NGOs in the country. It was surprising Number of NGOs in India is more than number of police stations in India. That's the reality, unfortunately. Or fortunately, that is another reality. Now, what lies ahead of the big challenge today? We know society has got thousands of problems. We can talk about, somebody talked about, Islamic invasion and British invasion and all that. All that is over, long history is over now. Now, we are a very solid team now. What all we can do identifying the challenges in addressing those problems and eliminating those things from the society is what we need to look at, is my view. From our group, we looked at business itself as a CSR. We did not look at our, we have very noble personality, Mr. Tyagarajan is the founder chairman of Shriram Group. Business itself we looked at as a serving the community. And he strongly believed, unless we uplift the community, we cannot eliminate poverty. So no point in doing anything else, just go and start doing business. I have one example, Pradeep was talking about northeastern part and all that. When we were doing really well in real estate business in South India, he said, please start business in eastern part of India. Our board felt it's nonsense. We should not do business in eastern part of India. We should do business in western part of India, rather if at all we are shifting from south to other region. But Mr. Tyagarajan said, no. Unless we build a balanced society in the country, you will have a serious problem from rest of the world, rest of the country. So hence you start business in Northeast. So we went and launched a very large project, township. We invested close to about 850 crores in Calcutta. We are doing a very successful township. It took long time. But he said we should do this as a community. Otherwise, we keep complaining about North Indians have come here and replaced all the South Indian employees. That happen if they are not balancedly equipped. The other one is on the truck financing business. When all the great banks like State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda or Canara Bank and all that, they were looking at only an organized sector. Mr. Tyagarajan said we should look at somebody who is not served by any of the organized people, we should go and serve. We are happy to say that more than 1 million truck drivers we converted into owners today. So that's the biggest contribution. Apart from that, we also contribute through CSR because it's mandatory. So we contribute quite a lot. And I don't want to list down too many activities today. But I would like to emphasize to this August gathering and the well-learned people, probably we should time to identify how, polio has been identified. And COVID, the kind of Chennai team, our Madras Rotary has done something phenomenal in managing this COVID in Tamil Nadu. And not only that, the floods, the Rotary's role in managing this, something remarkable. Maybe we should identify some of the cancerous which has gone into the society in changing the lives of people or behavior of people. And that can be done by not large number of NGOs in the country. NGOs in an organized way, they can do it. Without organized way, it is not possible. Probably I will make a request to Rotary to bring in this organized way of attacking, including, eliminating money for votes. Whether Rotary can play a role. We cannot play a role. As corporates, we'll have a lot of difficulties in playing any role in this.
I don't know why there are so many smiles in, in the context.
That's our responsibility. And we have one example. There was a very famous company called Alakriti in Chennai. Even today, that company is dead about 20 years ago. Even today, that company carries a lot of reputation and goodwill. But that company died just because they were society oriented, just because they were honest. So whether organized corporates have limitation on few things, but Rotaries have no limitation. Whether can do, all the corporates will go all out to support. At least from our side, we'll go all out to support if uplifting or changing the overall, transforming the behavior.
Thank you very much, Murali. And I think, one of the great things, having myself headed Southern India Chamber of Commerce and Industry and now serving at FICCI, is a great perspective you get across the spectrum of industries. And we do recognize corporates for the CSR initiatives annually. The Madras Chamber of Commerce had it last week, if I remember right. And to give you an industry perspective at a macro level and touch upon a few micro points, I invite one of the more prestigious chambers head, the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce President, my good friend, leading stockbroker, Nagappan.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Rotary and Mr. Ganapathy to invite me. Like for me, it's back to my alma mater as a former Rotarian from Rotary Club of Madras from 2001 to 2010. I was there, and that's a place which taught me something about. We are talking about CSR now. Rotary taught me about ISR, individual social responsibility, and I remember my trips to Gummadipundi Boys Town and the kind of contribution Rotary is doing. Recently heard about, I'm associated with the school in Tinagar, it's a 100-year-old school. So I heard about the contribution done by the Rotary Club to Ramakrishna Mission, global grant, something. So I think Rotary is doing a wonderful job. And from the industry, I think Mr. Kohli touched upon that issue very briefly, but I remember the conversation we had in our chamber in one of the committees, CSR committee we had about 15 years back. The sitting judge of Madras High Court was there in that committee along with me, and she was fully in for CSR completely. I was against CSR. I thought that it should be something voluntary from the company's point of view. Even now, if you look at it, the data says that about 38% of the companies have spent much more than what they are required to spend. Like Volvo, he was mentioning that they don't stick to the 2% and many other companies. So that's what my view. And added to that, the other injury cost was the deduction, which is not given. Taxation point of view, from the industry point of view, if you look at it, that's one issue. And I was not able to put it in such a nice manner like Mr. Kohli put it. If you give me that input, allow me input tax credit, then I can spend much more than, another 20% more or 18% more. It's a very nice way of putting it to convince the government. But government is very clear, if you read that when they introduced this, they said, the objective of CSR is to share the burden of government in providing social services by companies. If such expenses are allowed as taxation, this would result in subsidizing of around 1/3 of such expenses by the government by way of tax expenditure. Much more intelligent explanation.
True. And in fact, if Governor Nandakumar has kindly volunteered to sum up the discussions, because his role is to ask of us what we can do to Rotary. Ahead of that, if you can stretch this by a few minutes, we thought that we'll throw it open to the audience for any questions. And, these are guys sitting across on the head table who are willing to open their hearts to the heartaches of the others. So ahead of that, we'd like to hear from some of you what we can do better, because we as an entity, we are already committed, because we are forced to do something which has now, as in one of the more important boards, somebody said we are under obligation to volunteer ourselves to do charity, but then now it's become a way of life for us in corporates. We look forward to our CSR committee meetings. Each board has its own CSR committee. It has a committed spend, and several boards do it in a different style. I had the privilege and honor of being chairman of one of India's largest entities, board. I was the chairman of the CSR committee. Our spend was 300 crores. And that's a big buck if you can look at. So we were being dragged in the Indian context, get calls from MPs, MLAs and others. And we took this decision, we'll support only education projects. And the politicians fell off surprisingly, automatically. We stopped getting calls for education. But as I said, each company has its priorities. The chamber can reach anybody. I can reach anybody. You have 3 industry stalwarts here. You ask, we'll see how we can work with Governor Nandakumar.
Can I add? I'll take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
See, my friend Chala was mentioning about 25,000 crores of unspent CSR money last year. And simultaneously, at the same time, Pradeep was mentioning about reaching out to Northeast, there is a bandwidth problem. One idea could be like if you look at Nama School Foundation, so it's listed out throughout India. Rotary can probably do, list out the requirements of various organizations. There could be a meeting point where, like a stock exchange, like a meeting point, the people who want to give, people who need material. This can be a meeting point. Thank you.
Folks, we go with Governor Muthupalniappan.
This is Rotarian Muthupalniappan. I'm the past district governor of the district. I was the governor during the pandemic year, 2021. I call myself as Pandemic District Governor, PDG. Having said that, I've been a Rotary Foundation chairman in the district for 3 years. So I know how important it is to have community service projects being carried out by Rotarians. That gives a different image for Rotarians, I would say. So in our district, we have experienced many large projects. In the recent years, when I was the governor, we started a project called Orange, which is all about setting vision centers across India, pan-India. So you know, the need of eye care, avoiding blindness, is very huge in India. Vision 2020 had a target of having 20,000 vision centers in India by 2020. But hardly we had only 1,000 vision centers in the year 2020. So Rotary jumped in and we designed a project such a way that 15 partnering hospitals have accepted the program and we have started it successfully and more than 30 crore have been raised and we have initiated 110 vision centers already operational, another 90 more vision centers are coming up. See, overall, there has been only 1,000 vision centers in India and in Tamil Nadu there were only 90 vision centers till 2020. Rotary are adding 200 vision centers in 1.5 years. That is the strength of Rotary. Rotarians have contributed and we are looking for large CSR contribution to expand this project all over India. In fact, we are talking about Northeast. Yes, there is a proposal now, 1 acre land identified in Ranchi near Jamshedpur.
I think, I'll link you up with the panelists and you can share it on mail and take it forward.
Likewise, we can do a lot of projects. We do dialysis, huge projects, and many other projects are.
Hi, Sridhar.
Yes, sir.
Sridhar is the immediate past district governor, if I'm correct.
So still my memory is strong, that's why. Exactly. Thank you very much for being here, number one. Number two, you have been talking about the administrative cost, what you are looking at. I would like to give 1 minute a small story which will definitely clear all your ideas about how the administrative cost works out. Greater Chennai Corporation has got more than 150 civil engineers working on any construction work happening there. And there's a specific department which approves any construction to be done, whether it's a canal, whether it be a rainwater, gutter, anything. Rotary International District 3232, these Rotarians have designed the recharge wells, what is required for our city. Wow. In 2019, I was buying water every day, 450 rupees I paid for half a container of water. Thank God COVID has come, in a way. We didn't have that problem after that. We designed the wells, we given it to the commissioner, the DC Works approved the design of Rotary International and allowed us to do the recharge well pilot program in the city on measuring the water depth, groundwater level position. It's not the end of it. Then a corporate came in to support us for 40 recharge wells. We didn't do any work, we didn't give any money. We put in our brain, we put in our effort. The government is cooperating with us, corporates are coming forward. We are the agency without any 1 paisa extra to the corporate. All your money was put into only material which was gone into that. The complete brain was by the Rotarians of this district. And this is one I would like to tell you.
Thank you.
Number two, the then Health Secretary of the state, Dr. Radhakrishnan, in one meeting, he was sitting with me. He addressed me as, Dr. Sridhar, the dialysis centers are fantastic. I was looking at somebody else whether any other doctor is there. Here the point is, the doctors in this city are making even a non-doctor as a doctor, giving the domain expertise in taking up the projects, implementing it, and running the project. This expertise, this management technique, everything is fully free of cost from the Rotarians. We are here who is who in this city. We carry the brand of Rotary to convert your money into the dreams of the communities around this place. I would like to reassure that it is going to happen every time. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. And is there any more questions?
I have two last questions before we...
Sure. Thank you. Can someone turn on his mic, please? Folks, before he turns on the mic,
we have with us the Rotary International Director-elect, Anirudh Roy Chaudhary. He's from Calcutta. And
where is he from?
He's from Calcutta. He's the director for our zone for the next 2 years.
Calcutta.
Friends, this is an incredible discussions we had gone through. Just I'll give two simple things just for your information. Rotary Foundation, today we have our own subsidiary in India, Rotary Foundation India. This office is in Delhi. We handle from Rotary Foundation India entire CSR activities from Delhi. And for that, many clubs are doing extremely good projects and they don't have a good annual report or they don't have that human resources, but entire facilitations being done by Rotary South Asia office. So for the corporates, it's a very comfort zone. They'll get all the compliances from your perspective. This is one. Second one, today, from Rotary India Humanity Foundation, Rotary India Literacy Mission, we are collaborating with Government of India and with for Human Resource Department and Water Resource Department. And there in Human Resource Department, we are giving the entire contents from class 1 to class 12. It is now on the portal of Government of India's portal, and they are for the contents for all the rural schools in the Government of India's, all the rural schools. This is all contents developed by Rotary India Literacy Mission and Rotary Humanity Foundation. Today, we have collaborated with IIT for IITians for recharging the water body around the 3 states, one in Rajasthan, near the Haryana, and Gujarat, and we are creating check dams there. So, my friends, just
Kamal,
to give
this
you
is exactly what
yeah.
I'm saying. You cut a check sitting in Hoskote in Bangalore.
Thank you, sir.
It
This is
reaches
why I'm
every part of India. No other vehicle gives you that
PDG Ganpa,
luxury.
I want you to take another perspective on this.
Sure.
We have an esteemed guest over here, and I would like his view on this particular topic. Mr. Venkatraman here, a familiar face for all of you. You know him from the past. Having handled the Tata Trust, I would ask him to give his perspective on this.
Thank you, sir. Happened to run the Tata Trust for about 7 years as managing trustee until 2019. What we had realized was, rather than each individual attempting to solve problem of themselves, going forward, collaboration, and that too hyper collaboration is the way to go, because no one individual or organization can claim to know it all or find a way to solve it all. And despite however big or small we might be, we might not get to a highest common factor of an engagement, but we can definitely work on a least common multiple of association. So in that sense, platforms like Rotary are excellent convening parts where we set aside our differences and come across and sit in like Central Hall of Parliament, where our own party affiliations don't really matter, but we work on solving problems. Excellent initiative, sir. Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you. As I get Governor Nandakumar to come up to summarize, spare a thought for these 3 friends of mine who have, friends of ours now, who have come all the way from Bangalore and are victims of the air show because their flights, outbound flights are cancelled. In fact, Kamal has a Swedish dinner guest at 7 p.m. in Bangalore, and he's rushing back by car instead of his familiar 1C on a flight. But I thank each of you ahead of handing over to Governor, and I just told Kamal, after the RI director-elect spoke, I told him, you cut a check in Hoskote in Bangalore, the last pie is probably spent in Agartala. So no other safe vehicle is available in India today in the context we are familiar, other than Rotary International. I'm so delighted I could get all of them here to share some thoughts, and the leadership contributing their thoughts to convince industry and its leadership that we are as yet the safest pair of hands to administer your money. With those words, thank you folks and I thank Governor Nandakumar, and more importantly, I don't know, I see him here. When I served as governor, he was a very quiet, effective, efficient, and dynamic and forward-looking president, Ramachandran of the CSR club, the Midtown club as we know. Ram was the one who reached out to me and pulled a Rip Van Winkle out and said, come and do a program. Thank you, Ram, for that. And of course, the ever-smiling Ambalavanan. I see him there. Thank you so much for making myself familiar with every one of you again. Thanks, Ambals. Thanks, Ram.
Thank you, PDG Ganpa. I think for many of you, you will know him in different names. For us, he is one of our favorite past governors who always walks the talk and does what needs to be done. And as usual, I have seen him on 2008-9 when I was the president, and him standing on a similar stage and going near the mic and talking, giving a nice talk. At the end of it, like you were telling, cutting his personal check for $10,000 in 2009 and telling that I'm supporting that governor. That's PDG Ganpa for you, and he does it year after year for every one of the governors who are here in this district. Kudos to him and his family for doing what he does over the years. And thank you, Chela, for being here and doing the honors for us on behalf of the district. And to the team of the industry captains who are here today, I am truly grateful to all of you for doing us this wonderful CSR Rotary Connect program, because I never realized that it would have such a wide impact on the population who's here, and many of them have taken away a lot of lessons which they've learned here. We've also learned a lot of lessons in the last 3-4 years as to how we should go about. To give you an example, about a month ago, the same Rotary Club of Madras Midtown, which he belongs to, got a CSR, Connect, where we went and set up a company called Foxconn. Foxconn came to us and gave us 65 lakhs to put a digital mammography machine in the biggest government hospital in Chennai City, Omandura Specialty Hospital. So like that, every other entity is coming to Rotary simply because of the goodness that derives from us. And we are going to have Mr. Josh Folger from Foxconn, who's going to be addressing us a little in the afternoon tomorrow. So he's coming tomorrow. And so like this, there are several entities we are working with, and the only thing is the good news needs to spread. And this district, among the jewels of the Rotary world, if you take Rotary districts across the world, Rotary District 3232, Chennai City, is one of the jewels of the district, is how I would put it. And we are always motivated, and you could see 2 of my past governors who have given up their terms, who spoke to you, and they are completely involved in this. And to connect with the industry, we are also doing a project fair which is happening in the next exhibition area right across over here, where we focused on health, wellness and sustainability. And we had yesterday from Ashok Leland, the industry captain, and also from the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, Supriya Sahu was there and inaugurated the program yesterday. And we look forward to engaging with you in the future. The same way how we forged a relationship with the Art of Living Foundation yesterday to help us to reach the grassroots in the villages also, which Rotary is very interested in the journey ahead, because we truly believe India lives in its villages and we need to make sure that we get there. Thank you to all of you, and it's been a good meeting. Thank you, sir.
Folks, we have the heart, you have the heart, we have the money. Let's walk the journey together. Thank you so much.
That was a beautiful sum up, PTG Ganpa, for the session. Thank you.
என்னோட ட்ரெஸ்ஸை பற்றின டிசிஷன்ஸை எப்போ நான் தான் எடுப்பேன். ஆனால் நான் வாங்குற வைர நகைகளுக்கான பொறுப்பை EFIF டைமண்ட் ஜுவல்லரி கிட்டேயே கொடுத்துட்டேன். வைரங்களை அவங்களே பட்டத்தீட்டி சொந்தமாக தயாரிக்கிறதுனால பெஸ்ட் குவாலிட்டி டைமண்ட்ஸை அஃபோர்டபுள் ப்ரைஸில் தராங்க. நம்ம பட்ஜெட்டுக்கு ஏற்ற டிசைன்ஸும் தருவாங்க, நம்ம சொல்ற டிசைன்ஸை செஞ்சும் தருவாங்க.
என்றென்றும் முதல் தரமான வைர நகைகள் எல்லோரும் வாங்கும் விலையில் EFIF டைமண்ட் ஜுவல்லரி, GNCT Road, T Nagar, Chennai.
From offer letter to getting better.
1, 2, 3, go.
From soft spoken to outspoken. No matter where you're going, with Go Colors, you're good to go.